Lamar's MVP magic continues. If his MVP play, I don't even want to call it magic because I don't want to act like it's not necessarily sustainable or it's make-believe. Like his MVP play, if it continues, the Ravens win the Super Bowl. Like they are deep enough. The defense has been exceptional. They have home field. They're dealing with a few lingering kind of nagging injuries, but no, man, we just lost our starting star corner or whatever for the season due to injury. Hell, the Chiefs just lost their starting safety for the season due to injury. None of those things. And so if this continues, they win it all. What's up, Jenna?
Why wouldn't it continue?
Well, that's a really good question. And the question is, how much will the playoffs affect Lamar? And I'll throw out last year's playoff appearance because he's a rookie, he wasn't the player than he is now. But also, how dynamic will this offense be against the best teams in football? Now, you can say they've already played all the best teams in football and they beat all of them except for Kansas City, and that is true. What's also true is Lamar against non-playoff teams was perfect. He had a 125 passer rating. I know they lost the game to Cleveland. 27 touchdowns, 5 picks. And that's just what he did through the air, not what he did en route to 1,200 yards rushing. Against playoff teams, he had a 96 passer rating. He had 9 touchdowns to 1 interception. And credit him for not turning the ball over. Now, that's far fewer games as far as the raw touchdown numbers. But the 97 passer rating, it's like, oh, okay. So he's really, really good against playoff competition. And he's unstoppable against bad teams. It reminds me of the Golden State Warriors pre-KD, where it was if you were not a great team, you were drawing dead against them. They had too many things to throw at you.
No shot.
Their scheme was too advanced as far as the shooters. You had no shot. If you were a great team, you were probably going to lose, but you had a real shot. OKC showed that, then Cleveland showed that. That's how I feel about the Ravens and their offense. It's going to take a dynamic game plan. It's going to take great execution. It's going to take a million different things, and you'll have a shot to beat Baltimore, and that is assuming Lamar doesn't have a massive step back in the postseason, which I don't expect him to have.
Now, I agree with everything that you said. I don't think that he has to have the magical MVP type of playoff run.
Why?
Because the team is so good. The team is just that good. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens, there are not many loopholes that you can kind of poke at on the defensive side of the ball, special teams phase, as well as the offense. I'm going to just solely look at Lamar Jackson. And right now we talk about everything that the Titans might try to do and how they can take away and what he won't be able to do because of the level of play. And the competition is better, and we all get that. But right now, the last 3 weeks, Lamar Jackson's been sitting on the side with Greg Roman, with John Harbaugh, and they've been looking at the entire season and what they did really well, what worked, all the runs, all the passes, and they're asking Lamar Jackson, okay, where were you most comfortable? What do you want to do? What do you want to look at? How do you want this offense to run? And what plays do you feel like we should put in this game plan that will give you the best chance to be what you've been all year? These are the conversations that they're having. And with the success that they had all year, I don't see him falling off too far from that magic. And again, to your point, it isn't really magic when you can do it week in and week out. This is sustainability. This is who you are.
Right.
You're just special. And that's what he is, and I think he will continue to be that. How special? I don't know if he's MVP special, but he won't need to be.
Yeah, this is a really versatile offense. They can do a lot of different things at a high level, and I think that's going to lend itself to having success when they take the field tomorrow night. But in looking at the Tennessee Titans, I think it really just depends on what looks that defense shows the Baltimore Ravens, and that's going to determine what offense we see, whether it's an RPO-heavy offense, because they led the NFL in RPOs this year, whether it's going to be a run-centric offense featuring Lamar, or whether they're going to air it out with the passing game with the tight ends and the wide receivers. They can play a lot of different games, and they've shown that they can do that really, really well, and it leads to the same thing, which is winning football games. When you look at the two rosters, top to bottom, the Baltimore Ravens are clearly better than the Tennessee Titans. I think it's up to Mike Vrabel and his staff to look at what they do well and how they could potentially exploit some of the things that the Ravens do. Now, offensively, I think Tennessee Titans can get that run game going a little bit because the Baltimore Ravens, under Wink Martindale, their defensive coordinator, they love to blitz. I mean, they blitz more than any other team in the National Football League. And you know when you blitz, sometimes you just don't have that gap discipline, especially in the run game and perimeter runs in particular. So I look at that. If the Ravens aren't gap sound and gap disciplined, that could lead to some big runs by Derrick Henry because as good as that Ravens secondary is, I don't think none of them defensive backs want to see Derrick Henry coming downhill. So that's one of the things to watch. But again, we talked a lot about this matchup this week. I think a lot of how it plays out is going to be determined by the complexion of the game. Because if the Ravens get up early on the Tennessee Titans, it's going to be a wrap.
If there is a path for the Tennessee Titans, could you look at the fact that the Ravens have had a couple weeks where there haven't been in any kind of routine, where they haven't broken a sweat really out on the field, and the Titans are coming off a big, emotional, momentous win over the Patriots?
Well, that's exactly it. And the Titans have only lost one game ever under Vrabel in his 2 years where they've had a lead at the half. And you have to hope, if you're a Tennessee fan, you have to hope Baltimore's a little rusty. You have to hope the bye, plus the week off in Week 17, plus the fact that they had a Thursday night game in Week 15. So the starters have actually, like, you look at how long it's been since they've played one football game, full functional with their starters out there since I think December 12th. So you're talking about almost a month of football where they've played more than one game. You also look at they haven't been the final 3 games of the year. It's Jets, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. So it's been a while since they had to have their A game to beat somebody. That is what the Titans have to jump out early and then hold on for dear life. The other element of this, that these are the number 1 and number 2 red zone offenses in football as far as converting red zone opportunities into touchdowns. The difference, though, is Baltimore also has a top 3 red zone defense, while Tennessee has the 31st red zone defense. So you're up against one of the best red zone offenses in football if you're the Titans, and your red zone defense has been terrible all year long. They have to somehow, to have any shot, they have to have Justin Tucker trotting onto the field a lot for 32-yard field goals, for 27-yard field goals, as opposed to him trotting on the field for extra points.
And to your point, the Tennessee Titans are going to have to hit some big plays to get into the red zone because although they're tops in red zone efficiency, they're 25th in attempts.
Right.
So they don't get down there very often.
Once they get there, they've scored touchdowns.
Exactly. So they're going to have to hit some big plays, whether that's long runs by Derrick Henry or explosives to
Let me hear it, Greg.
Jenna, you talk about the lack of play right now in the bye. I experienced this in Green Bay with this man.
Why?
When Green Bay, when we were having the bye, 15-1, we had the bye. We were such a pass-heavy defense. This is what makes the Baltimore Ravens completely different, and they're approaching this with a completely different mentality. The timing, the execution of passing games, of passing teams. It's paramount that you get on the field, that you have that opponent that you can continue.
Week to week like that?
Week to week. Because it's different when you're going in the passing game. In the running game, which is why I believe they got us.
Yeah, because y'all had double-digit drops in that game.
We did. It was really bad.
It wasn't really their fault. It was your fault.
Well, no, the receivers couldn't hang on to the ball. I don't know if that's Aaron.
I'm not going to even lie. It was a bad game. But the Baltimore Ravens, they're a heavy run team, and they can beat you in multiple ways and variations. When it comes to the running game, they won't have that
I do wonder how much the timing, though, is. You're talking about running teams versus passing teams. The Ravens run such a different type of rushing offense where there is timing on the gives, on the quarterback options, on those things. I wonder if there's a rust factor on that in a way that's different than just a typical drop back, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry type of rush.
Yeah, ball handling is definitely going to be a factor in this game because the Ravens essentially run an option rushing attack. So being able to have that misdirection, the dives, the gives, the pulls from Lamar Jackson, that stuff requires a degree of timing too. So that's something to watch.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.